The world of Hollywood, and beyond, was left in disbelief when news broke that legendary actress Diane Keaton had passed away on October 11, 2025, at the age of 79. In the years leading up to her passing, Diane openly reflected on her decision never to marry. Despite being deeply admired by Al Pacino, cherished by Woody Allen, and even rumored to have been romantically pursued by Keanu Reeves, Diane chose a life of independence, unattached and unapologetic. That choice only added to her mystique, solidifying her legacy as one of the most compelling, unpredictable icons of our time. As she once joked to The Telegraph, "Every man has his own decade in my life." She never needed a ring to define her relationships. Each romance, full of shadows and light, carved its own path into her story. Al Pacino resisted marriage, and Keanu Reeves once dismissed the idea, saying she was too old. One by one, they came and went, leaving her stirred, sometimes scarred, yet always true to herself. So, why did Diane Keaton choose to remain single? Was it too much heartbreak, too much love, or a lasting attachment she never overcame? This video reveals the hidden truths behind her most intimate relationships. 1. Woody Allen, a bond beyond romance. Diane Keaton met Woody Allen in the late 1960s when she starred in the Broadway play Play It Again, Sam, written by Allen himself. What started as a simple working relationship quickly blossomed into a profound connection, equal parts romantic and creative. Their love story spanned from 1969 to 1972. During that time, Diane didn't just find a partner, she discovered a collaborator, a muse, and a lifelong friend. Their romance may have ended, but their creative bond endured. They worked together on several iconic films, most notably Annie Hall, 1977, a cinematic masterpiece that mirrored their own story. Keaton won an Academy Award for her portrayal of Annie, and their on-screen chemistry immortalized the complexities of their off-screen relationship. Even after their breakup, the friendship remained unshaken. Allen described Diane as the North Star of his life, while Keaton saw in him a kindred spirit, someone who truly understood her. But Allen's legacy grew, increasingly complicated over the years. In 1997, he married Suni Previn, a union clouded by controversy. In 2014, Dylan Farrow, Allen's adopted daughter, resurfaced long-standing allegations against him in an open letter published by the New York Times. She criticized Hollywood for celebrating Allen while she felt silenced. "For a long time, Woody Allen's approval kept me quiet," she wrote, naming actors who supported him, among them Diane Keaton. Keaton continued to publicly stand by Allen, calling him a dear friend and praising his character. "I trust my friend," she once said. "It's a choice, and it's not one everyone can accept." Their bond, forged through art and friendship, stood firm in the face of public scrutiny, revealing how personal loyalty can often conflict with collective judgment. 2. Keanu Reeves, the gentle flame that never caught. The last man romantically linked to Diane Keaton was Keanu Reeves, a pairing that intrigued fans and stirred endless speculation. Their paths crossed in 2003 on the set of Something's Gotta Give, where Keaton played an accomplished playwright entangled in a love triangle. Reeves played her charming young suitor, and the chemistry between them was undeniable, on screen and perhaps off. Diane later joked on the Ellen DeGeneres show in 2017. "He loved me from the movie, and that love grew over time." Off-screen, their connection deepened. By 2005, rumors of a romance were circulating. They were seen together often. She visited his home. She stood proudly at his Hollywood Walk of Fame ceremony. And in her usual witty style, she told Oprah, "I would marry him. He likes older women." But the relationship never became public. Keanu, deeply private and still carrying the emotional scars of personal loss, remained silent. Their romance faded quietly without drama. The 18-year age gap may have played a role, with Diane later admitting the kissing scenes felt awkward due to their difference in age. Still, a mutual respect endured. Keanu once called Diane an inspiration, and she remained drawn to his quiet strength and compassion. 3. Warren Beatty, the charmer who matched her fire. One of Diane's most passionate and intellectually charged relationships was with Warren Beatty, the ultimate Hollywood heartthrob. She first saw him in Splendor in the Grass, 1961, and was instantly captivated. Years later, fate brought them together in Reds, 1981, Beatty's grand directorial project where he cast Diane as the fiercely independent journalist Louise Bryant. On set, they fell for each other, intensely and quietly. Beatty, known for romances with stars like Natalie Wood and Julie Christie, saw something unique in Keaton. Diane is a combination of integrity, humor, and irresistible beauty, he told People in 2016. Their romance burned brightly through long conversations about politics, art, and dreams. It was the kind of relationship that expanded her creatively and personally, a whirlwind of intimacy and ambition. Throughout her life, Diane Keaton made the deliberate choice to remain unmarried, a decision rooted in experience, reflection, and unshakable self-belief. Her relationships weren't failures, but chapters, each shaping her into the icon we remember today. Behind the hats, the humor, and the unforgettable performances was a woman who lived fiercely on her own terms. And that is what made her legendary. Diane and Warren's relationship was brief, lasting only from 1981 to 1985, but it burned with the intensity of a jazz composition, spontaneous, mesmerizing, and emotionally charged. They spent time both in England and the U.S. while completing Reds, an epic film about love and revolution. In her memoir Then Again, 2011, Diane recalled, "Warren made me feel like I was the only person in the world. He had a way of making you feel special. Once, when Diane was anxious about flying from Los Angeles to New York, Warren accompanied her, held her hand throughout the flight, and kissed her goodbye before catching the next plane back. Moments like these made Diane's heart race, but also left her uncertain about the future. She knew Warren was what she called a rare collector. In Reds, Diane and Warren played Louise Bryant and John Reed with such passion that their kissing scenes were praised for their authenticity. Years later, fans on X still shared clips of their performances, calling them the ultimate couple of the 80s. They appeared together at high-profile events like the 1982 New York Film Critics Circle Awards, where Diane dazzled in a masculine suit and Warren looked sharp in a tuxedo. Yet, behind the perfect image, their relationship was strained by invisible pressures. The production of Reds was lengthy, over budget, and Warren's perfectionism created tension. Diane, fiercely independent, sometimes felt overwhelmed by his grand ambitions. Despite their deep love, differences pulled them apart. Warren's notorious Hollywood playboy reputation and many past romances made Diane feel insecure. In a pre-death interview, she admitted, "Warren had a big family life, and I didn't fit into his crowd." There were no public scandals or fights, but the pressures from Reds and their contrasting lifestyles ultimately drove them apart. By 1985, they separated, a bittersweet ending Diane reflected on and then again. She felt no regrets, but acknowledged Warren was truly one of a kind, a dream she cherished. After their breakup, Diane and Warren maintained a lasting friendship. At Diane's AFI Lifetime Achievement Awards ceremony in 2017, Warren appeared and said, "Diane is a constant surprise. Funny, tragic, always captivating." Diane replied with a smile, "He should make more movies." Their enduring friendship stands as a testament to maturity, moving beyond romance to deep respect and appreciation as artists. 4. Al Pacino, a 15-year love that lasted a lifetime. In 1971, on the set of The Godfather in New York, Diane Keaton, then 25, known for her quirky, tomboyish style, first met 31-year-old Al Pacino, an Italian-American with intense eyes and a disarming smile. At that time, Diane felt only a faint attraction to Pacino, who portrayed Michael Corleone, husband to her character, Kay Adams. On the dimly lit set, amid tense scenes, Diane was struck by Al's intensity, describing him as an orphan drifter with a killer face. But love had not yet taken hold. It wasn't until 1974, while filming The Godfather Part 2, that their connection deepened. Diane, freshly out of a relationship with Woody Allen, found solace in Pacino, who was grappling with the overwhelming fame that came after The Godfather. During off-camera moments, they discovered a kindred spirit in each other, both devoted, humorous, and complex artists. In her memoir Then Again, Diane wrote, "Al is the most entertaining man I've ever met, like a miracle." They began a discreet and passionate relationship, sharing private moments in New York and Los Angeles, away from the paparazzi. Their love spanned nearly 2 decades, from 1974 to 1990, but it was far from steady. It was an on-and-off dance marked by distance and emotional reunions. Their shared passion for acting brought them together, with long debates over scripts and character analysis. Diane, shy before the camera, gained confidence through A.L.'s encouragement. In his memoir Sonny Boy, Pacino reflected, "With Diane, I feel at peace, as if the world stops turning for a moment." They enjoyed many highs, Diane's Oscar win for Annie Hall in 1977 and A.L.'s acclaim for Dog Day Afternoon in 1975. Yet, their relationship was tested by busy schedules, A.L.'s volatile temperament, and his struggles with addiction. They preferred quiet nights watching movies or walking beneath city lights, rarely appearing publicly as a couple. But their careers and personalities often drove a wedge between them. Haunted by a troubled childhood marked by divorced parents and poverty, Al sometimes withdrew into himself. Though patient, Diane occasionally felt helpless against his instability. She shared, "Al is elusive, and that's why I love him." That elusiveness was both the bond and the fracture of their love. Their relationship climaxed in 1990 during the Godfather Part 3 shoot. Diane, then 44, sought clarity after 16 years together. She gave Al an ultimatum: marry me or end it. Al, burdened by a deep fear of marriage rooted in childhood trauma, declined. In Sonny Boy, he confessed, "I'm afraid of marriage, afraid of repeating my parents' mistakes." The decision shattered Diane's heart. In a 2015 Guardian interview, she said, "I didn't want a man I could have easily. But Al, he was my whole world." They parted, leaving a profound void, yet their respect endured. Afterward, Diane embraced independence, adopting 2 sons, Dexter, 1995, and Duke, 2001, and continued her career with hits like Baby Boom, 1987, and Something's Gotta Give, 2003. Al buried himself in work, but also battled addiction. In a 2024 interview, he called the 1980s his darkest period. Still, he triumphed with Scent of a Woman, 1992, winning an Oscar for Best Actor. Though Al never married, he fathered 4 children with 3 different women. When honoring Diane in 2017, Al declared without hesitation, "I will love you forever." The room held its breath, feeling the weight of their shared history and enduring bond. When Diane Keaton passed away on October 11, 2025, at age 79, the world was stunned. Al Pacino, then 85, was devastated. On X, he wrote, "Diane, you were the light of my life. I'm sorry for everything." In an interview with USA Today, he added, "I lost her not just today, but 35 years ago." Their love story, imperfect and unfinished, reminds us that sometimes the greatest love is not possession, but the moments once lived fully together. Though Diane's life was filled with dazzling romances, beyond the glitz and headlines, her true story was very different. Why did Diane choose solitude? Who was the lover that haunted her heart forever? Before becoming a Hollywood legend, Diane Hall was simply a young girl from Los Angeles with big dreams. Born January 5, 1946, into a seemingly traditional family, Diane was inspired by her mother, Dorothy, a homemaker with an artistic spirit who once won the Mrs. Los Angeles pageant, to dare and create. From a young age, Diane felt the magic of a stage, the lights, applause, and recognition, and realized a normal life wasn't meant for her. Growing up, she sought freedom, admiring women like Katharine Hepburn, not for their fame or style, but for their fierce independence. At Santa Ana High School, Diane stood out in demanding roles like Blanche DuBois in A Streetcar Named Desire. She didn't act to impress others, but to express herself and explore the depths of human emotion. College brought no satisfaction. Restless and hungry for experience, Diane made a pivotal decision to move to New York City. There, she trained in the Meisner technique, learning to truly listen, react, and be present on stage. To support herself, she sang in nightclubs, an experience later reflected in Annie Hall. That journey ultimately shaped Diane Keaton into one of the most unforgettable icons in cinema. In 1968, Diane's career took a significant leap forward when she landed a swing role for Sheila in the Broadway musical Hair. The production was notorious for its boldness, featuring a nude scene at the end of the first act. Performers could opt to appear nude for a $50 bonus. Diane declined, not out of a lack of courage or for financial reasons, but simply because it didn't align with who she was. This decision immediately set her apart, establishing early on that Diane Keaton would carve her own path rather than follow fleeting trends or crowds. After 9 months in hair, she auditioned for Woody Allen's Play It Again, Sam on Broadway. Her height, 5 feet 9 inches, taller than Woody Allen, almost cost her the role, but Diane didn't let that deter her. She embraced the chance, showcasing her talent and charisma, which earned her a Tony nomination for Best Featured Actress. The following year, Diane made her film debut in Lovers and Other Strangers, which opened doors to various roles, including guest spots on TV shows like Love, American Style, Night Gallery, and Mannix. Even small gigs like deodorant commercials were valuable steps in her development, each experience preparing her for bigger opportunities. Her real breakthrough came in 1972 when she was cast as Kay Adams in The Godfather, portraying Michael Corleone's girlfriend and later wife, played by Al Pacino. Director Francis Ford Coppola was captivated not only by her acting ability, but also by her unique energy and quirky charm that distinguished her from other actresses. Diane brought a rare steadiness and emotional depth to Kay, making her one of the few women able to stand her ground in a male-dominated story. The film was a colossal success, becoming the highest-grossing movie of 1972 and winning the Oscar for Best Picture. 2 years later, Diane reprised her role in The Godfather Part 2. Although initially hesitant to continue, she was drawn in by the script's deeper portrayal of Kay, a character now more complex, bitter, and conflicted, yet ultimately brave enough to leave Michael's world behind. While some viewed Kay as a minor figure, Empire magazine recognized Diane's performance as quietly essential, bridging the male-centric narrative without stealing the spotlight. She knew how to make an indelible impression. During the 1990s, Diane Keaton continued to broaden her range as an actress. In 1993, she reunited with Woody Allen for Manhattan Murder Mystery, their first project together since Annie Hall. In 1996, she starred in The First Wives Club, a comedy about 3 middle-aged women reclaiming their power after being left by their husbands. The film was warmly embraced by audiences and became a hit. Entering the new millennium, Keaton ventured into directing and producing. In 2000, she directed Heaven, a documentary exploring faith and life after death, her debut as a director. In 2003, she starred alongside Jack Nicholson in Something's Gotta Give, a romantic comedy that earned both critical and popular acclaim. In recent years, Diane kept active in film and television. In 2016, she took on her first regular TV role in HBO's The Young Pope. In 2018, she appeared in Book Club, a comedy about 4 middle-aged women rediscovering life and love through reading, followed by its sequel Book Club, The Next Chapter in 2023. Her final role came in 2024 with Summer Camp, a comedy about 3 women attending summer camp, shortly before her passing in 2025. Diane Keaton's personal life resembled a script unlike any Hollywood had seen, a story that didn't end with fleeting romances or a traditional family, but rather with a bold, self-assertive journey. Though celebrated for decades, Keaton always had something different about her compared to her Hollywood peers. While many entered marriage, some for love, some for appearances, she quietly chose a different way, living independently on her own terms. From early on, marriage didn't hold much appeal for her. It wasn't that love never crossed her path. She had experienced brief romances and complex relationships with some of Hollywood's biggest names. But Diane had a clear vision for her life, one that didn't necessarily involve a ring, a husband, or the conventional domestic ideal expected of women from her generation. Her views on marriage were deeply influenced by her family experiences. She grew up watching her mother, a loving, selfless woman, dedicate herself entirely to the family, but also witnessing the dreams her mother gave up along the way. Seeing her mother sacrifice her own ambitions sparked a fear in Diane that marriage might cost her the independence that gave her life meaning. So, as she rose to fame and gained control over her career, Diane consciously chose to remain single. While her contemporaries walked down the aisle or made tabloid headlines with engagements, Keaton built a life rich in art, architecture, acting, and introspection. In her later years, Diane embraced her independence and tranquility. Her home was filled with mementos from her career and her art, but also subtle reminders of past loves. Among photos of colleagues, awards, and scripts, there was always a special place for Al Pacino. An old photo of them together in their youth remained in clear view, a quiet testament that love sometimes doesn't need to be present to endure in the heart. Her daughter noticed how often Diane would gaze at that picture. Some days, she would sit by the window, holding a cup of tea, staring into the distance as if silently conversing with a past that would never return. Even long after their breakup, Diane's heart carried a deep and lasting affection, a quiet yet profound longing. Other relationships, while once lively and passionate, became cherished memories but not lasting enough to share her life. Diane understood that sometimes love is a brilliant moment that leaves behind lessons in growth. She treasured it all, but no longer sought romance or dated anyone. She lived for herself, for her art, and for the memories she carefully held. At 70, Diane openly admitted she hadn't dated in over 30 years. For many, that might seem unusual or sad. But for Diane, it was simply her truth, a reality she embraced without regret. She had built a meaningful life full of creativity, art, and motherhood. The absence of romantic love became a space for creativity, presence, and living fully on her own terms. However, success and personal freedom didn't come without silent struggles. In 2014, Diane revealed she had battled mental and physical health challenges throughout her youth. The pressures of the entertainment world and her own high expectations led to a toxic relationship with food. When cast in significant Broadway roles, she was pressured to lose weight, a seemingly routine demand that spiraled into years of obsessive disorder. What started as an effort to fit roles turned into a consuming obsession that clouded her daily life and caused immense mental strain. This hidden chapter profoundly shaped Diane into the determined, independent, and insightful person she became. It showed that beneath her smile, wit, and iconic style, she fought hard to maintain her identity and freedom. Outwardly, Diane appeared to be a rising star with a promising future. But inside, she struggled quietly with an addiction few knew about. Her binge eating was not a casual habit, but a near-surreal compulsion. One binge could include an entire bucket of fried chicken, massive fries covered in ketchup and blue cheese, large amounts of soda, candy measured by weight, a TV dinner ending with cakes or pastries. It was both comfort and punishment. It wasn't indulgence, it was compulsion. A way to fill an emptiness nothing else could touch. Keaton's binge eating remained a secret, hidden behind smiles, charm, and flawless performances, while inside she battled turmoil. As she once said, "I used to be fat. I used to be obese. And somehow I tricked myself and hid it." She was speaking not only about her body, but also how her mind perceived itself. Her irregular eating habits distorted her reality and stole her peace. She admitted, "I don't think things get easier as you get older. I think they become more urgent. It's really about death. No sugarcoating. No quirky euphemisms around the truth." Finally, the legendary Diane Keaton passed away on October 11, 2025, at her Los Angeles home at age 79. Her death sent shockwaves through the film community worldwide.